I was late to our neighborhood's annual block party, stuck at work wrestling with a last-minute deadline that had already frayed my nerves. By the time I finally pulled into our driveway, the whole street was alive with energy. Strings of warm lights glowed above, music floated through the air, and laughter spilled from every corner like it belonged to a happier world I wasn't part of. I texted Sarah to let her know I was home, already picturing her in the backyard with a glass of wine, smiling as she chatted easily with neighbors. But as I headed toward the noise, I glanced through the kitchen window of the house next door and froze. There she was, Sarah, but not how I imagined. Derek, her co-worker, stood inches from her, their bodies pressed together. They were kissing, not a fleeting brush of lips, but a kiss so heavy with meaning it spoke louder than words ever could. For a heartbeat, mine stopped. The music and laughter outside dulled to a faint hum, leaving only the image of the two of them tangled together. My keys dug into my palm as I stood rooted to the spot. She hadn't noticed me, too lost in him, her hands twisted in his hair, their closeness erasing any possibility this was an accident. And in that moment, all I could think of was Mia, our 7-year-old, running somewhere nearby with her friends, blissfully unaware that her world, our world, was splintering. 9 years we had built together. 9 years of school runs, weekend soccer games, pancake breakfasts, quiet nights, and shared plans for future. And now, all that was unraveling before my eyes, in someone else's kitchen, while the rest of the block laughed just outside. I wanted to smash the glass, to shout, to make them feel the same pain that was ripping through me. Instead, I forced myself forward, cut into the crowd until I reached the back door. The hinges groaned as I opened it, and they sprang apart like guilty kids caught sneaking around. Sarah's face went pale when she saw me. Her mouth opened as if to speak, but Derek didn't bother. He wiped his mouth, muttered something, and slipped past me, leaving her small and cornered. The music outside suddenly felt cruel, a soundtrack to a nightmare I couldn't wake from. What the hell is this? I asked, my voice low, trembling with anger. It's not what it looks like, Sarah whispered, her voice cracking. But I had known, deep down, for months. The late nights at work, the way she guarded her phone, Derek's name surfacing too often. I had told myself I was paranoid, imagining things. But now, I couldn't deny it. Not what it looks like. I snapped, stepping closer. You're kissing him in front of everyone we know. How is that not what it looks like? Tears welled in her eyes, but they didn't soften me. Not this time. The pain was too raw, too loud. I turned before rage pushed me past the point of return. I walked back through the crowd, deaf to the music, blind to the smiling neighbors who had no idea everything had just shifted. I found Mia with her friends, her face glowing as she ran toward me. "Daddy," she squealed, wrapping her arms around me. I knelt and hugged her tight, her laughter both soothing and cutting. I couldn't break in front of her. Not yet. So I took her hand, and together we walked to the car, away from the party, away from Sarah, leaving behind the lights, the music, and the wreckage of what had just happened. Neighbors watched as I passed, but they were nothing more than shadows. Sarah's voice carried down the street, calling my name, each syllable slicing through the night. But I didn't turn back. I couldn't. Every time I pictured her, I saw Derek's hands on her, his mouth where mine should have been, and the thought hollowed me out. At home, Mia was still buzzed with excitement, chattering about the party. I nodded when she expected me to, but inside, I was knotted tight. Once she was in bed and the house went still, Sarah appeared in the living room, twisting her hands like she didn't know where to put them. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "It was a mistake." The word hit like a slap. A mistake? That's forgetting the milk or leaving laundry in the washer. This wasn't an accident. This was a choice. Your choice to risk everything we had for him. Every memory, our plans, our laughter, our promises, suddenly felt poisoned. She cried, but my anger was too sharp for pity. The image of her with him was seared into me like a photograph I could never destroy. I grabbed a duffel bag and stuffed clothes and sighed with shaking hands. "Where you going?" she asked, panic rising. "Out," I said flatly. I didn't look at her. I just needed air, space. For a moment, I thought about the party, how close I had been to exposing her in front of everyone. But I hadn't. I swallowed it for Mia's sake. You need to figure out what you want, I said, zipping the bag shut, because I don't know if I can stay with someone who does this. She stayed silent, and her silence was louder than any apology. The line between us wasn't just crossed. It was gone. I drove until the neighborhood lights faded, until it was just me, the road, and my thoughts clawing at me. I found a rundown motel with buzzing neon and stale air. My phone lit up with Sarah's messages, apologies, excuses, promises, but I didn't answer. I lay there staring at the ceiling, thinking of Mia and how I could protect her world even as mine fell apart. Because this wasn't just a kiss. It was Sarah choosing someone else, breaking what we'd built, and I didn't know if forgiveness was even possible. Morning came, and I drove to Mia's soccer game. The sun was blindingly bright. Watching her run, laugh, and chase the ball, the weight lifted just a little. Sarah wasn't there. She texted that she was staying with her sister to give me space. I didn't care. What mattered was Mia, knowing she had at least one parent steady enough to rely on. The neighbors would gossip. Sure, let them. I know them my pain. What Sarah did had cost her my trust, maybe even our marriage. I didn't know if this was the end, or the start of a long, ugly road towards something new. But I knew one thing. I wouldn't let her betrayal define me. I wouldn't let it steal my joy. When Mia came running to me after the game, flushed and grinning, telling me about her goal, something shifted inside me. Not forgiveness. Not yet, but resolve. Sarah's choice had destroyed the version of us I believed in. But I would rebuild, even if it was just me and Mia. Whether that meant divorce or a painful road toward reconciliation, it would be on my terms. The party was over. So was the life I thought we had. What remained was the truth, raw, unyielding, and the strength to take the next step, no matter how hard it would be.